some individuals that are in tune are paying attention to, some that aren't in tune or not paying attention to. Want to point out a couple of stories, and what we're going to talk about today is the New World Order, the Illuminati, reptilian agenda that exists on our planet. As I've said before, when you do the research on who and what the reptilian species were, they were a race of draconians that have been inhabiting this planet since 4.5 billion years ago. You can refer to also the great elder Dr. Delbert Blair, who gets into it very in-depth and very detailed in a lot of his teachings. Now, again, as I've said to an extent on some previous posts, one way they trick us and keep us under a spell and illusion is through the enforcement of religion and the Bible, which is an agenda basically just to hide the real universal truths that one can find locked within themselves, because the infinite mind of the Creator exists within your mental reservoir. You have to learn to go within and tap into that information. This Illuminati agenda, I want you to research a couple of things. Their control for the planet, the things that they're doing right now, things that are going on around you constantly that you have to pay attention to. And again, if you're not paying attention to it, a lot of these things go under the radar and you can miss it. They've been poisoning us through chemtrails for many years. They've been poisoning our food. They've been poisoning our water. Most of our water systems, regardless of where you live, whether it's the United States, across in Europe, Africa, but what they're doing here in the United States, the fluoride system that they have in our water is very damaging, detrimental, and dangerous to our DNA. There's a chemical in it that makes men more feminine. You can go research this. I'll get you the name of the chemical. I had it written down, but you can research this. It makes men, it adjusts their hormonal balance. It destroys us genetically through our DNA because of this chemical. It gets actually into our bloodstream, and it actually dumbs us down and can cause all types of cancerous disease and actually have your cells working against you. This is the very fluoride that they put in our water. They've been spraying the chemtrails for many years into the atmosphere and the sky. You can go look at recently, it was a few days ago in Idaho, just Google it. 2,000 geese fell dead out of the sky due to viral cholera, which is something they enforce by the chemtrails. It's a bacteria that lives in soil and water for 4 months. So this is a man-made bacteria that they can give life to, that can stay alive for up to 4 months. They can put this in the water and the soil. What are we really drinking? If they can put it in the soil, it can be grown and put into our food. If they can put it into the water, they can put it into mass distribution in various levels of our water supply all over the world. We have to pay attention to these things. So the chemtrail things have been going on for many years, the extreme low frequencies that they've been putting out to the universe. And if you're familiar with extreme low frequencies, which they're obviously so low, and you can't detect them unless your alpha brain waves are functioning to its proper capacity. That's why we talked about the monatomic gold powder. When taken the right pure form of it, can enhance your psychic abilities and can actually bring you to the awareness or the realization to put up your psychic self-defense against those extreme low frequencies. And the pineal gland has to be activated and functioning at its full capacity. So they know if they can continue to work on you spiritually and mentally and emotionally and physically by disrupting and destroying that pineal gland, by making sure your root chakra is not activated, which links you into this cosmic consciousness of all and ties you into this awareness. Now the Illuminati agenda, we've all heard of the Illuminati. And I want to remove the spookism from the element of who and what the Illuminati is. One thing we should have to start doing as intelligent thinking beings, as beings of original creation, deities in human flesh, and we can't think of ourselves as anything less. Because once we start thinking of ourselves as subservient to some fictitious monotheistic deity that doesn't exist, it in turn creates within us a slave mentality. Automatically we have a slave subservient mentality where we make ourselves inferior to this Illuminati God force that they've created through the Bible and through religion. So we have to establish in ourselves the Creator exists within us, it exists in the infinite mind. And going in through proper meditation techniques, you can definitely be able to contact the God particle, if you want to call it, or the mind of the Creator that exists within you. A tape I can refer you to, which is an excellent tape, and you can go to Dr. Delbert Blair's website and get it. And I refer to him a lot because I think he's one of the most prominent teachers out there because of the topics that he talks about. You can go to his website and tell him Brother Beniti in Fort Lauderdale is well aware who I am, sent you. But get his tape, his download meditation techniques off his website. This will teach you how to go within yourself and contact the inner worlds that exist within you. It'll teach you about remote viewing, astral traveling, etc., which that's getting into a whole other topic. We'll try to talk about that a little bit if we can. So to take the spookism out of what we call the Illuminati, let's do that, because the Illuminati comes from the word illumination, or the illuminated ones. Now let's go into the orders of what we know as modern day Freemasonry. Most people that get involved in Freemasonry, and we're not talking about those lodges or degrees that are given to you on the surface. I myself, I'm speaking from experience, being a Master Mason and having gone through what they call the Blue House of Freemasonry, which are the three degrees of the Blue House, which are Entered Apprentice, Fellcraft, and Master Mason. And let me explain this thoroughly to you so you can understand where I'm going with this. Once an individual takes the 3 degrees of what they call the Blue House and they become a Master Mason, then they have the choice of either taking the York Rite or the Scottish Rite to become what they call a 32nd degree Mason. Okay? Let's establish what that means. Now, when you become a Master Mason, you get the substitute word for a Master Mason. Anybody that travels through the lodge will verify what I'm saying. Now, you continue your Masonic studies to get the lost word of a Master Mason by going on in the further degrees of the York or the Scottish Rite, giving you that sacred word when you complete those degrees and become a 32nd degree Mason. Now, they say symbolically at the 32nd degree you become what they call frozen, and we know on a thermometer 32 degrees represents being the temperature of frozen. Now, why they say you're frozen? Because not everybody can become a 33rd degree Mason. Regardless of what anybody tells you, it's all bullshit, and I'm going to tell you why. First of all, you have to be selected to be a 33rd degree Mason. You can't apply for it. You can't want to become it. It's something that has to be asked upon you. Okay? And even there, you're not getting anything. Now, when you go back to the founding of the Illuminati, research this. You have to go back to Adam Weishaupt. Okay? Now pay attention to what I'm about to tell you, because I'm going to try in a short period of time to connect all this information. Adam Weishaupt is the founder. He's a German and was the founder of what we call the Order of the Illuminati. Now, the Order of the Illuminati used Masonry to hide behind, to do the devilishment that they're doing now. And I want to make this clear. It doesn't make all Freemasonry evil. They took an ancient craft that actually has its origins in ancient Egypt, because the real Masonic Lodge, or what we're terming the principles of Masonry, and when you go into the lodge, you have the 4 corners of the lodge, which actually represent the 4 sons of Heru. Then you have the all-seeing eye of Ra in the east, the square and the compass, which they say represents the grand architect of the universe, geometry, or God. And you travel from west to east as you make your circumference or your circumvallation around the Masonic Lodge. It's hard to understand the symbolic degrees if you haven't studied it and if you haven't gone through it, so it can be a little confusing, but it's all symbolic and ritualistic. Okay, so I want to make that clear. It doesn't make all Masonry evil, because Masonry's principles were founded on brotherhood, fraternity, unity, etc. But Adam Weishaupt, the founder of the Illuminati in 1776, okay, and pay attention to this. If you look on the back of your dollar bill, pay attention and go on the back of the dollar bill. You will see an Egyptian pyramid on the back. You will see also in Latin, Novus Ordo Seclorum. Pay attention. That is talking in reference to the New World Order. If you look at the capstone and the Roman numerals on the bottom of that pyramid, you have 1776. They'll claim that that's the symbolic of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. Not true. That's symbolic of the founding of the Order of the Illuminati and the New World Order. Now, ask yourself this. A country that has on the front of its dollar bill, "In God We Trust," which their God is gold or money, but yet on the bottom, on the back of the dollar bill, there's not a Christian church or anything in reference to Christianity. You have an Egyptian pyramid, okay? You have a capstone with the all-seeing eye, and then you have in Latin New World Order around it with the date on the bottom inscribed in Roman numbers, 1776, the founding of the Order of the Illuminati. Go do research and look at the layout of Washington, D.C. To look at an aerial view, it's in the form of the pentagram or the five-pointed star. It's laid out Masonically. You have the obelisk in Washington, D.C., okay? You have the obelisk in Egypt. It's basically an Egyptian Masonic layout. When you look at the Washington Monument and Cleopatra's Needle, and you look at some of the Egyptian artifacts, you're looking at an Egyptian replica village. Also, who helped lay that out was a Moor, an African Moor, named Benjamin Banneker. And if you don't know who Benjamin Banneker is, go do the research. You've heard the term Big Ben for the clock. He is the individual that found what we know as the clock today. He was a Moor, and he was a Mason. Again, you need to do this research because, again, I always say here, on this show, okay, the job is to give you the information, but to become a deity and raise yourself up to the realization, you got to do the work, the research, and the study, okay, because nobody's going to hand everything to you on a platter so you can learn this. So the Order of the Illuminati used the Masonic Order to hide behind, to tap in to certain levels of information and work things that they were trying to work without being seen. So they called themselves Sons of the Illuminated Ones. Now, your people in power over the years in this country, you have to look into the Lancasters now, the Yorks, the Rothschilds. These are people of power to this day's family members control the natural resources on the planet. Regardless of what you think, your political system is a joke, no matter what country you live in. They're all figureheads. They have no control or say what goes on in this country. You don't get a choice to vote. Don't let them fool you, because they put out in front of you who they want you to vote for, creating the illusion that you have a choice. Let me give you an example. You think you have a choice, okay? When you go to a retail store, they create the illusion you have a choice by putting 15 to 20 different selections that they chose to put there, and then you select from the 15, 20 selections that you want a so-called purchaser buy. Same thing with voting. They don't let you select the candidates that you want up there to vote for, so they handpick a few candidates and create the illusion you have a choice, creating a false illusion of a democracy. Now, when in this country, in the United States of America, when you recite what they call the Pledge of Allegiance, they tell you this is not a democracy. They tell you it's a republic. We all know the Pledge of Allegiance of what we learned in school. It says, "I pledge of allegiance to the flag and to the United States for which it stands and to the republic," okay, of the United States of America. There is no democracy. When you look at the flags that are flown, pay attention when you're watching speeches, political events. When you see the United States American flag with the yellow fringes around it, that's a wartime flag. And that flag is only shown when we're in so-called war. Why is that flag constantly shown? If you pay close attention when you're watching these things on C-SPAN, the news, CNN, etc., if we're so-called not at war, why is the war flag always being shown? Or are we at war and we just don't know it? It's something for you to think about. Okay? So the principles of this, going back, dating to the Illuminati, okay, they hid behind Freemasonry. Okay? The powerful families got together and created and devised this order to control the natural resources of the planet, to create a one-world monetary system, which basically has been in effect for years, because cash is almost obsolete. When do you really see a physical cash anymore? The New World Order is about a cashless and checkless society. Nobody really uses cash or checks anymore. 90% of what we do through purchasing is through debit and a credit system, and it's basically money that's not even there. It doesn't even really exist. Okay? You have to also pay attention when you read on the back of your money. It says this is a note or tender, public or private, for a debt. It's a tender or a legal note. It's a promissory note, basically. It holds no value. They know that. Gold is what holds the weight. Back in the day before the monetary system that we currently operate under, we used to use the barter system. We used to trade goods. We trade gold. We trade certain supplies. And that created a certain balancement amongst people because it didn't create gentrification in classes of social and economical power. So now, through creating this illusion of a banking system that you think you have, creating the illusion of money that doesn't even exist, it's not there, but it creates the illusion, I'm going to have you apply for a credit card and extend to you money that doesn't exist and then charge you interest to pay me back this money. Think about it for a minute. It'll come to you if you think about it. And take your time before you swallow and marinate on it. I'm telling you all this because this whole system that's been around you for hundreds of years, and it's a new system, and it ties into the laws of Hammurabi. Again, I'm going to be jumping around, bear with me, because there's a lot on this topic, and I'm trying to cram a bunch in a short amount of time. You'll see that this system is a matrix, and it's basically an illusion, and they got you living the illusion on a daily basis. They got you a slave to this system on a daily basis, and you're not even aware of it. So this Illuminati and these people of wealth, the Rothschilds, the Lancasters, the Yorks, research the War of the Roses. These are powerful families that control the oil, the diamonds, the gold, and these are the ones that have been calling the shots in this country for years, not your president. And they work in conjunction with the Central Intelligence Agency. I don't care what anybody says. Now, you could also research J. Edgar Hoover, who, it's not a secret if you pull up the FBI files, has always infiltrated organizations, the FBI and the CIA, who posed a threat to the very fabric of their society or mainstream society. Any organization that was teaching outside the norm was always targeted as a terror group or a threat group. Okay? The Nation of Islam has been investigated, J. Edgar Hoover. Martin Luther King was targeted. You can see, obviously, in the various movies over the years, and including the one recently, Selma, which, here's my take on this, and this is my opinion. I'm so tired of seeing those Uncle Tom chicken dancing movies about black history only dealing with the civil rights. And I'm going to tell you why. That's part of an illusion and part of a spell that they enforce, because they try to enforce every year, when we just left the month of February out of so-called black history. So they constantly want to infuse in us this so-called mammy and pappy black information that pisses me off, because they make it look like Africans or Nubians were their only history ties back to the civil rights era. And that's part of the spell, because they keep wanting to enforcing the images of the hoses and the dogs and being in oppression, when they never teach you mainstream and promote the images of the original Egyptians or Nubians in Africa. They were kings. Okay, they made discoveries of medicine and the higher sciences, mathematics, astronomy. This was founded by the original Egyptians who were African. That's real black history. Let's stop talking about all this. And again, I know it might piss some people off, but I gotta say it. I'm tired of this Oprah Winfrey color purple mammy and pappy bullshit that they promote every year this time of the year. That's part of the spell. Stop falling for that shit. How can you constantly promote what they call the civil rights? How can the civilized plead to the uncivilized for civilization? Think about that for a minute. You were the civilizers. How can you appeal to the uncivilized for so-called civil rights? Now remember, not too long ago, the Constitution said if you had 1/3 of African blood in your blood, you were considered not even human. Think about this for a minute. You weren't accepted as human if you were of any of these races, mixed, mulatto, etc. You weren't accepted as human until you had to fight for your rights to vote, and you were accepted as a human being. But see, I tell them, if you're not accepted as a human, then why should you pay taxes? So to this day, they still don't look at you in that light. That's part of the Illuminati spell, or the Illuminati agenda. Creating these illusions, these doctrines of separation, these various religious doctrines that they constantly promote to keep people in a state of separation. I said on my last post, in dealing with the Anunnaki, the extraterrestrial, and the reptilian agenda, these bands called the Anunnaki are responsible for starting these modern day religions that you have, and being the three most popular. Think about this. You got Islam, Christianity, and Judaism, in essence, are really the same religion, but yet are at war with each other day and night, shedding each other's blood and killing, all in the name of God, Yahweh, Jehovah, Allah, It's a demonic, reptilian, Illuminati forced agenda religion to constantly create separation and division across the planet. That's a scientific fact. Go research it. Chaos all over the world. In its roots and essence, religion is at the core of these problems, or religion is being used to hide behind to do other detrimental things that they're doing in this society. Any fool can come to the realization of that, okay? Because these religions are just offshoots of the same religion, and they argue and fight over nonsense, and they kill. They kill an innocent woman and children every day. There's civil wars all over the country and the world today over religion. Men, women, and innocent children are dying every day in the name of religion and God, and that's all part of the Illuminati agenda. Now let's also look into this. What a lot of these demons do, these illuminated ones, they go into countries and start civil wars, and then one of the first organizations they bring in is the Red Cross, and then they hand you a Bible. Now let me ask you this: if somebody comes in and causes war, death, and destruction, and then somebody comes behind them with a hot sandwich and a book, okay, at that point you're ready to accept everything. That's part of their plan too, is starting wars all over the planet so they can gain control. Now remember, in war there's also profit and money. Anytime you want to stimulate the economy, start a war. Because in death and destruction, more weapons need to be created, things need to be built. You can go back to not too long ago and look at Dick Cheney during the Gulf War. Dick Cheney became almost a billionaire off of the Gulf War. You understand that? Because Dick Cheney's company was one of the main suppliers that supplied a lot of the materials that went into rebuilding Iraq. Okay, go do this research. Also do the research and find out that whole Gulf War, the United States was in essence responsible for that whole outbreak, because you have to go back to the Afghan-Russian War. Okay, how little we forget history. What am I talking about? If you go back to the war in the 1980s between Afghanistan and Russia, okay, bin Laden was the one leading the Afghans against Russia. The United States supported bin Laden and sent him weapons, and the bin Laden family has a strong connection with the Bushes, and if you do the research you'll find out we were the ones that funded that war and created the problem that we had to deal with from 9/11. That's number one. Number two, the Iran-Iraq war. The very so-called weapons we were looking for before we started the Persian Gulf War and then went back into Iraq in the early 2000s, the only weapons we found were the ones we gave Iraq to help fight Iran. We never found any biological weapons. They went in there under the illusion because they thought Saddam Hussein was buying plutonium from Africa, create nuclear weapons. They never found anything, and they never apologized for it. So they went into Iraq, and only thing they found was old weapons we gave them back in the 80s and 90s that they were using from the war when we supported Iraq against Iran. So we were go back to Ollie North. People forget what Ollie North was accused of. Oliver North. Go back and research it. I don't want to give you a history lesson today, but you know I can go there. There's so much more dynamics to this. Everybody is under the illusion and the spell of this matrix that they keep creating around you, and they keep feeding you misinformation, and this keeps you asleep. It keeps you dead. It keeps you confused because they don't want you to wake up. The most dangerous person on the planet is somebody that's raised to the self-realization that they don't need anything but themselves. Because if you become when you're not dependent on them anymore, then you become a threat to them. They don't want you saying that you can go within yourself. You understand? Or it all starts with self. No, they have to keep you relying on external forces and external things to keep you under this illusion or this matrix. So there's a big picture to this. So these illuminated ones, this Illuminati, this New World, there's a whole agenda that's been in the making for many years. And I want to stress this. People get under the illusion. You're not going to wake up one day and all these changes happen in the blink of an eye. This is something, these demonic forces are very shrewd. They do it gradually. It's a meshing of change that happens over a period of time. And the only way you see it is if this eye is awake. If that pineal gland or that third eye is operating at its correct capacity or frequency, then you see these things. Now, for those that may not be aware to what I'm saying, again, no offense, don't take this wrong. You're mentally asleep. and you are living in that matrix, because the only thing most of those individuals care about is what I'm going to do this weekend, where I'm going to go and hang out, what club I'm going to hang out with, and I'm going to get some new rims for my car. I'm going to go into his establishments and spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars and thousands of dollars on clothing and sneakers. He's got you a slave to fashion. All he's got to do is pump something out on TV and run commercials, and you go run out and buy it like a puppet. They know these things. They know your emotions. They know what you like and you dislike. They know what food you like. They know what places you like to visit. So they know how to appeal to your emotions, and they know how to use you as a tool of commerce. Okay? Let me show you how they work on you through vibrations and frequencies. And again, if you're conscious, this don't apply to you. But this might have been you back in the day, okay? And this might be somebody you know right now if it's not you. Let's show you how they do it. Let's start with throughout the week, how they constantly programming you. Sunday, they kind of tone down the vibration. They set that it's Sunday, day of rest, go to church, come home. So now they have you serving their reptilian god on a Sunday, giving him thanks and praise, and by feeding him your spiritual forces, these reptilian agendas, and going into their churches and their places of worship, you give their spirit forces light. So you think you're doing something peace, it's church day, I'm going to go to church, I'm going to read my Bible. After I just did devilishment from Monday to Saturday, and I lied, and I drunk, and I got high, and I did all this devilishment, but Sunday I'm going to pretend and play like I'm holy. That's Sunday. Then as Sunday night comes in, the vibration is, oh, tomorrow's Monday, beginning of a new week, I got to get in mental mind of work mode and being a slave, and now becoming a number for them in their economical system. You get up Monday morning, it's that work vibe mentality. Beginning of the week, it's Monday. Okay, that vibe continues through about the middle of the week, and then as you get closer to the weekend on Thursdays and Fridays, now mind you, why this is going on, you're being programmed by media 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There's some people that constantly have their television on when they're home. They get up in the morning, they listen to the radio or music while they're getting dressed, they listen to radio and music on the way in the car, they get to work, and sometimes people at their workplaces are constantly exposed to radio and music. You get off of work, you get in your car, you go home, you're listening to radio and music. You get home to the house, you're going to eat dinner, you turn on the TV, you're being programmed by televised visually, or the idiot box is programming you with what they want you to know. You watch that till you can't stay up anymore, and some people fall asleep watching the TV, and some people fall asleep overnight with the TV on, because that TV lets out radioactive frequencies that damage the 12 occult nerves and the 9 magnetic particles. They can dumb you down through the TV by way of the radiation signals they can send through it. Don't believe me? Check it out for yourself. I couldn't care if you don't believe me. So you're constantly being programmed through media and TV. So the weekend comes, and now if you listen to the radio in your car, now you start hearing ads for places they want you to frequent. Come out to this club this week. MC such and such is going to be there. MC Chicken Fingers is going to be there. Now they're starting to pump in your head. They know it's Friday. You're going to get that check. Now they're going to start giving you fictitious choices of where you can go for entertainment and spend your money. So now everybody by Friday, during the day, TGIF, thank God it's Friday. Now I'm in coon mode because it's Friday. So now I got to see where I'm going to go blow all my money at, whatever strip club or music club I'm going to visit. And then you go out Friday, you get drunk, you get high, you do all your devilishment, you go visit all the places where they take all the hard-earned money back that you just earned so-called all week through a paycheck. And then you're back to Sunday. And then your hypocrite ass is up in the church pretending you're holy, asking their reptilian God for forgiveness. I'm trying to use this as an example to show the system of control that we are under. And you don't see it if you're not aware of it. Now, again, my job is not for you to believe anything. And I couldn't care if you believe anything I say. That's not my job. My job is just to make you aware. You take the information, you do with it what you want. That's your business. Because individuals are going to do what they want. I can talk to you till I'm blue in the face. It's only going to work for you until you make the decision to want to make the change. And that's why trying to force somebody to do anything is a waste of time. And that's not what metaphysics or dealing with the higher spiritual science is about. It has nothing to do with that. So I want to make that crystal clear. So we see these illuminated ones, they have their own agenda. We have to wake up. Change won't happen first until people wake up mentally. And that's why I said the other thing that they're doing through all these events in the news and the media with these mass murders and killings and these racial shootings by these police, okay? The reason why they're doing this is to feed off your emotions, to create that separation and that divide. They want you to be reactive instead of proactive. You can do all the marching you want. It's not going to do anything, okay? And then you have demons like Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson who see the dollar signs in these events. They always show up when there's a black dude being shot by a white cop. But they never show up when there's black on black crime, which goes on continuously, and it's probably happening right now as I'm talking to you. There's probably one young black brother shooting another black brother. They don't show up there. You want to know why? Excuse me, because there's no money. There's no money in that. You can't feed off of people's emotions in that. So who cares? Two young black kids killing each other, who gives a crap? Nobody cares. But when it's a white cop shooting a black cop, let's play race now and pretend like I really give a shit when all I really give a shit is about the dollar signs. This is to feed off your emotions, and you probably heard me say this in some classes that I've done recently. And this also wants you to institute so you can disrupt the areas where you live in, and you giving them the reason to bring in martial law. They can say these people, look, they're not able to to take care of their own communities anymore, so we have to bring in the National Guard. We have to bring in the military. Do you realize through the New World Order, even if you own a house and it's paid off for, you don't really own that house? You still pay property tax. And if New World Order or martial law is instituted, they can come to your house and use your house as a military base, because under martial law, the government has full say in all matters. They can tell you that you have to vacate your house. They need your house for a military base, so you don't own shit. That's a reality. So I also have to say to all of these people out here that have this false precept of what reality is. You have to wake up to this. Religion is the #1 tool that these illuminated ones, these Luciferians and these draconian forces use to control you spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically. Because remember, if I can get you to be reactive based on tapping into your emotions by way of these extreme low frequencies that I'm constantly sending out, I can get you to bed and do what you want. Now, they also have another thing called that you need to look into, and they're using this to master their tricks. So you're going to see a lot of other deceptive things. I want you to also look at the two things. Astral projection, okay? They're able to send images from one side of the planet to another. What they're going to start doing, and you mark my words, you heard me say this, if they want to institute their spell of religion, they can create an image, say, of the Virgin Mary, or who they think in their mind is Jesus, and astrally project that image from a satellite or from wherever they're at, and they can make it look like this is some type of divine image from heaven. And they're going to start doing this now to enforce their spell of their religion even more. They've been doing it over the years. If you do the research, you'll see this has been done many times, but you're going to see an increase in that activity just to continuously enforce that fictitious spell of Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. The war is heightening, and you see now Islam has become a savage, barbaric religion. Let's get into a whole other thing. I could do a whole post on that. So pay attention to that. You heard that here. This is something they continuously keep on doing, and they will continuously keep on doing if you're not paying attention. So that's what they'll do, astral projection. The other thing, by working on you through the vibrations and the tones and the frequencies, or what we call extreme low frequencies, they can also instill in you subliminal suggestions. What do I mean by that? They can force walk-ins into you, or certain individuals that are open or are a vessel to use for walk-ins. They can send voices to their brain. They pretend like they think they're hearing spiritual voices. Now, why am I saying that? These Luciferians or these bands know by a certain aura energy you give off by way of your crown seat or your halut or your aura, your crown chakra. They know when you're open or receptive as a vessel to receive messages that they want you to bid. If you look at some of these incidents in the news last week, the last couple of years, some of these individuals claim before they set out to do these mass murders, they heard voices telling them to do this. So they're also able to project voices into you subconsciously. Again, I know it sounds crazy, but go do the research. We have to get out of this physical thing, because you can't find the correlation to the existence and the reality of things from the physical. It always starts from the spiritual. So all these doctrines that are physical will never lead you to the truth and the reality of what I am saying, okay? Because it always starts on the metaphysical. It never starts on the physical, okay? It goes beyond the physical. And that's all you're saying when you say metaphysical. Is the Greek word which means beyond. It just means beyond the physical. That's all we're talking about. We have to take this root back spiritually. So they have all these capabilities, okay? We have to be conscious of this. And if we're not, we're going to fall prey and victim to the things that's getting ready to happen. And it's going to intensify and it's going to increase. You're going to see nature is increasing in its intensity and change through the weather. The consciousness of the planet is changing due to the magnetic pole shifts that happened in 2012. It's time to wake up, people. I'm going to stop there for now. And there's so much more on this topic. This won't be the only post on this. We're going to continue this. But you're basically, long story short, under the spell of the Illuminati, the reptilians, and the draconians that control this planet. They all work in conjunction because their main goal is to control you and keep using you as a slave and constantly rape this planet of its natural resources because they have an agenda for you. Now remember, they're trying to get out of here. That's why they created the space shuttle. That's why they're creating more space shuttles. They've already set up colonies in Mars. There's biospheres on Mars where there's human beings living right now as we speak. Because they've destroyed this planet so bad, they're starting to make it so uninhabitable for them that they can't even stay here anymore. And the sun is also forcing them out of here. That's a whole other story. This is a reality. So if you think, while you're in your little world of REMs, listening to music, going to work, and not paying attention to what's going on, as we're talking here right now, they are living on Mars as we're talking right now. Again, I don't care if you believe me or not. I couldn't care. That's not my job. And I don't get into nonsense debates with people over stupid shit because there's no time for it. Right now, it's time to get the information out and get the truth out, and that's it. And that's the only job that we have. So I'm going to leave that at that for now. We'll continue this post, but just to make a couple announcements. Those that have been subscribing to my channel, I am hitting you up on Google with a link to our radio show. It's very, very important. We're doing a weekly radio show on TalkShoe.com. Again, that's TalkShoe.com. The name of the show is Awakening Universal Minds. You can go to TalkShoe.com, just type at the top of the page the name of the show, Awakening Universal Minds. It'll take you right to the show. We are on every Thursday evening at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, that's Thursday evening, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can listen live on the internet, and you can type questions into the chat box. You can call in and participate live on the call, or you could do both. So people that might be overseas, international, that can't call in, you can just listen live on the internet, and you can type your questions to me, and we will answer your questions. We've had some incredible guests on in the last several weeks. We had Dr. Delbert Blair on a few weeks ago. We had Dr. Phil Valentine on this past Thursday. Coming up this Thursday, we have Dr. Edward Bruce Bynum, who wrote Dark Light Conscious Matter, The Serpent and the Luminous Matrix Reality. Check this book out. This book is heavy, it's deep, and it gets into a lot of stuff that we were just talking about now and then some. So Dr. Edward Bruce Bynum will be here with us this Thursday night, March 26th at 9 p.m. Following that, we have Dr. David Emotep the week after that. He'll be coming on the show talking about his most recent book, and we'll pick his brain about some other topics. And then followed by that, it's going to be a real treat. All those that are familiar with Brother Panic, Brother Panic will be here on the show, Awakening Universal Minds, to be getting down to straight no bullshit. He gives it to you raw, and that's going to be a whole different energy. And we have many more upcoming guests that we're working on, including myself, who host the show, and my two co-hosts, Brother Ravana Noon and Brother Sargidi, who always are constantly giving their input. It's a great show. We dialogue for 2 hours. We have listeners from all over the United States. We got listeners in the UK, the Caribbean, France. So we're reaching a broad audience, and we've only been on for a few months. But it goes to show that the consciousness of the planet is changing. So we definitely want to see you on that show. And if there's somebody you might would like to see on the show, somebody maybe we're not aware of or we are aware of, and there's a possibility we can get them on the show, you know, hit us up on the email, khnum19@gmail.com, or if you have a suggestion or a topic you would like us to talk about on the show, I'm always open to suggestions, because remember, the show is what it's titled, Awakening Universal Minds. It's for the people, and again, our job is to awaken those universal minds. So again, that show is every Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on TalkShoe.com, called Awakening Universal Minds. Again, if you subscribe to me on YouTube, I put you in my acquaintance circle, and I will send you an email a couple times a week about the show just to remind you. And I know everybody's in different time zones and everybody's schedule is different, so you know, hopefully you can tune in when you're able to and spread that word to others that you might know that might be interested in teaching the show. Also, if you are in the South Florida area, Fort Lauderdale, Miami, I will be back at Sophia's Garden of Ma'at on Sunday, April 12th at 7 p.m. I'll have that information for Brother Yehuda, who you can contact. The event is free. The only charge is free of mind. We just ask you to come out and support the vendors, the books, and the products that are being sold there. Just support the cause. That's all we ask of. That's pretty much it for now. Just like to try to post something at least once a week to keep people up to par, up to speed. I will continue this post because this is a vast topic. We could probably do a couple of posts on this. So I want to be clear on that. And I want to leave you with a little affirmation. Something that I found. Before I do the affirmation, there's a phrase that I found I thought was very interesting. I saw it off the internet. A young kid had posted it. I can't remember his name. If you're out there, I think this is one of the most clever phrases an individual can come up with. And this is a nice phrase because this deals with reality. And the saying goes as such. I wrote it down because it struck me spiritually. Yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. But today is a gift. That's why they call it the present. Let me say that again. Yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. But today is a gift. That's why they call it the present. We got to start living in the now. Stop living in the past. And the future ain't guaranteed to come unless you make that future by your present. Because what you do in the now maps out your future down the road. So when you look at that from a metaphysical standpoint, that's a deep statement. Meditate and marinate on that. I also would like to say a little affirmation that I like to recite regularly, not prayer. And I want to use the word prayer because prayer is praying to spook beings that don't even exist. So we're not praying to spook fictitious old man gods sitting in heaven on a chair, which doesn't exist, because that would actually destroy their concept of omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient God, because that means God's sitting on a throne in heaven in a chair, and heaven is bigger than him. And God ain't even a him, and God is not even a... let's get into a whole other story. We don't want to get into that now. We'll maybe break that down on another show. Here's a little affirmation you can say when you get up every day. You can say whatever title you use for the Creator. You can say the Creator. You can say the Grand Architect of the Universe. Whatever title you need to link you into creation, because it's symbolic of an all-existing energy called existence. You can say, I ask the Creator to infuse in me the divine intelligence by way of my DNA ancestors, spirit guides, and guardians, okay, so I can reach my divine potential and purpose on the planet, okay? Just say that on a regular basis, okay? You can add something personal and then finish. When you're saying that basic affirmation when you get up, it's real simple. Meditate and reflect on the word. Again, may the Creator, the Grand Architect of the Universe, the Most High, whatever title you need to get you through, may He infuse in me the divine intelligence by way of my DNA ancestors, spirit guides, guardians, so I can reach my divine potential and purpose on the planet. May I have a positive and successful day, and may I be a positive influence to all those I come in contact with. And may the God of my heart, my mind, and my self-realization raise me to this awareness. You could add whatever you want. There's no set way to do it. It's just a simple little affirmation that the vibration and tones and energy of the words connects you with the cosmic consciousness of all, the divine intelligence. We've done posts on that. And remember, it's all connecting to you outwardly, not outwardly in. Because if you listen to the words of the affirmation, it speaks for itself. That's what I got for you at this time. We'll come back with part 2 unless the ancestors or the spirits or the guardians lead us in another path. So we will see you on the next post in the chat. On the next post, not the chat, I'm sorry. My mind's, I got other stuff going on. Or possibly see you on the radio show. We hope to see some of you guys there, and we'll see you next time. This is your brother Beniti Amon Ray saying Hotep, create a bless.